so many good qualities, and its weakness is not even weakness because it hardly rains. In a rainy place, you would think mud would melt, but there are people who are building in the Alps in the rain with raw earth. If you have a good design, it works. But here in Ladakh, it's a no-brainer. You really don't need fired bricks or concrete walls when it's a desert, and a cold desert which needs insulation, which needs thermal mass. So these are buildings made of very traditional, ancient material like earth and powered by modern science, capturing sun. And you can have a blend of tradition and modernity inside. It need not look primitive in earth buildings. It can be as pleasant as anywhere. Bedrooms. Yeah. So these buildings are built with earth and with all the amenities that people expect, and people who come from Switzerland or the US often say, I wish I had a house like this there. So earth doesn't mean you have to make it shabbily and call it primitive. It can be as sleek as anything. Now, to go full hog, sustainable or restorative, you choose the material, you choose the mode of heating or powering, clean, and the lifestyle also. For example, we have attached bathrooms, toilets, but normally in conventional buildings, when you have attached bathrooms, you use a flush toilet, which are okay for Delhi, actually not even for Delhi, because you don't have so much water that you can pollute the underground, you can pollute the lakes. So I don't think it is good for Delhi or London also, but definitely not for a desert where you have hardly any water. People live on 5 to 10 liters a day. You know, human beings need only 3 liters to live, but they need 13 liters to flush. Isn't that a joke? To drink you need 3 liters, but to flush your excretions you need 13 liters. And where do you get in a desert that much water? So Ladakh has a beautiful tradition of dry composting toilets, where the flushing is done not with water, which we don't have, but it is done with soil or dried cow dung powder. Yeah? When you flush it with that, meaning you cover it with that, slowly it decomposes. It's all organic and becomes beautiful manure, which is food for the plants. Plants are food for you, and your waste is food for the plants. So the cycle is infinitely sustainable. It goes on and on. But the moment you break that cycle, you eat and your waste goes another direction, polluting the lakes, polluting the soil underground, and then your farm is crying for food. And then what do? You buy fertilizer because you're not getting that cycle. So you buy fertilizer. And buying fertilizer is the stupidest environmental thing you could do, because you make those fertilizers by as bad a process as breaking air molecules, nitrogen from air. You break. And that takes so much energy, huge power guzzler. So, all the more pollution with coal-fired power plants powering the fertilizer industry, and then you have to buy the fertilizer with all the cost of the coal-fired power plants put on the farmer's bill, and they have to take loans, no, to buy that fertilizer because they are not in that natural cycle. Now that is broken, causing more harm to water and underground. You have to buy, and to buy you have to take loans, and when you can't repay the loans, you commit suicide. A cycle as bad as that. Whereas you live, you eat, You excrete and you produce the food for the plants to get your next food, next meal. So this house has attached toilets, which is a very new concept. The problem with Ladakhi dry composting toilet was that it couldn't be kept next to the room, at the most in the house, but often outside the house, because it can smell, it can have flies, but with innovation, you can have it right inside. So I've been living in a house with a room that has attached bathrooms with dry composting toilets, where I flush with cow dung powder to cover the waste, and there is urine separation. When you separate the urine, urine is like the cleanest thing on your body, much cleaner than your sputum. And urine is an instant fertilizer. Mixed with 20 times water, it has all the NPK that you take loans and commit suicide when you can't repay. Urine has everything. So you can immediately use it in the fields with the right amount of water. That's your fertilizer. The rest, the solid waste, takes longer to decompose, and when it goes there, it raises the humus in the soil, makes it soft. Unlike artificial fertilizers, it actually enriches the soil. So a house that actually generates even fertilizer for your fields, not just comfort for your living. Now we are taking these technologies beyond us. As I told you, the idea of the university was to extend such solutions to the outside world, which the school couldn't do. So we are taking it to Indian Army, our Jawans, who have the hardest life in Ladakh. You know why? Because local Ladakhis, are resistant to cold, so they are okay with cold, but they live in the towns, villages, which are minus 20, minus 25 at the most, whereas the soldiers have to be on high mountain borders, which are minus 35, sometimes minus 40. And who are they? They come from Chennai, Aurangabad, into minus 40. So you can imagine what it will be like for them. So we said, why not take it first to the army, and then hotels, offices, schools, etc. So this university believes in taking its solutions, testing its solutions and taking it to other needy users. Now, these are for the Indian Army on the Chinese or Tibetan border, where it is very cold, in a place called Chushul. Inside they have a neat and nice house rather than a tent or a barrack. This feels like a house, and all you have to do is open those windows which bring the warm air in convection. Remember the first picture? So that convection keeps it warm, and the black wall heats and radiates the heat at night, so they don't go below plus 10 or 12 in those very high borders. And plus 12 for soldiers is good. For normal citizens or a hotel, plus 22. But soldiers, they have to be ready for battles. So they should not be in the luxury of a hotel. They should be ready to go out. So that's how we try and cut the expense on oil. You know, oil comes from Qatar, Middle East. Paying our hard-earned foreign currency, India buys this oil. And then what does it do? It gives it to the defense forces, burns that oil, and it makes itself vulnerable. Can you imagine? The enemy can just cut your oil supplies and freeze you to death. They don't have to fire any bullet. Just burn the oil or cut the supply and you're dead in a cold place like this in winter. So sun is autonomous. They cannot cut sun, right? And again, in Ladakh, more soldiers die of accidental fire in the houses than enemy fire. When you have oil, you have accidents. But with sun, there cannot be any fires. So that's how it relieves. So we have been building from top generals' guest houses to soldiers' barracks with this kind of technology. And this institute believes, just to tell you a little educational part also, this institute believes in making its students work on projects. We say 70% on projects in the field and 30% in classrooms. More out than in, so that you are ready for life, ready to change the world. But the beauty is that when you are on projects, working, learning and working, because working is the best form of learning, when you are doing that, those projects generate revenue also. When we do this for the Indian Army, their problems are solved. So they are happy to pay for these. And your income, when your income comes from these projects, then why do you need to charge the student? So higher education becomes free. Actually, we want to be an institute that, of course, doesn't charge, but if possible, pays the students, because they are involved and they are actually paying, as I said the other day, with their sweat and imagination. So they should pay with sweat and imagination, not with rupees and dollars, which only some have, not all, but sweat and imagination everyone has. Poor ones have even more than the rich ones. So you can make education democratic. Anyway, so solutions like these, to float them outside campuses, we floated this alternative university, which has an enterprise wing. Apart from the academic wing that does the research, the enterprise wing takes it to the users, and users contribute to the revenue which runs the university. This is the model we want to follow. It is an experiment in progress, going okay for now. And for these solutions, this institute was given the National Energy Award. Yeah, that was about heat. I'll just few slides about other solutions. Water solutions, you must have heard how the natural glaciers are melting away. So we are working on making artificial glaciers. With our students, few years ago, 7-8 years ago, we said, if the natural glaciers are melting, then how about making man-made glaciers? Now, man-made glaciers have been made in Ladakh for many, many years, and actually hundreds of years, but those were mostly horizontal. Horizontal ones receive sun's heat and they melt too quickly in March or April, whereas farmers need water in June or May. So how do you keep it till May or June and not lose it prematurely? The answer came from high school geometry. In geometry, you may have heard that certain shapes like spheres, hemispheres and cones have low surface energy for the volume. And why are we talking about surface area and volume? Because the sun needs surface area to melt, farmers need volume to irrigate. So a shape that has low surface area, the sun doesn't get surface area, farmers get volume. So we said, why not make our ice vertically in hemispherical or conical form? And therefore, the question was, how will you raise water 10 stories, 12 stories to make a giant cone of ice or a pyramid of ice? Yeah? We don't have pumps or power in these valleys, remote valleys. And even if we had, it would cost so much to pump water. Again, to our help came middle school science and primary school science, which says water always maintains its level. So, in the hills or mountains where you find slopes, too bad you don't find here, you are in the plains, but in Ladakh, there's always a gradient, upstream and downstream. So if you put a pipe upstream, water enters, but water wants to maintain its level. So at the inlet, the level has to be the same at outlet. Down there, it wants to go to the same level, so there is pressure in the pipe if you put a fountain, and then it can lift water tens of stories without any pump, any moving part, any motor, power or pollution. Something like this. This is 6 stories high. It's pumping without a pump, yeah? Just with gravity of putting a pipe upstream. And it's spraying the water in the -20 air in winter. What happens when you spray water in the -20 air? It sucks the heat out of the water, and the water loses all its heat, even the heat that keeps it liquid. If you remember your science, the heat that keeps a liquid liquid, without which it becomes solid, is called latent heat. Yeah, that's the last heat that material will give. So in -20 air, water even loses that. So it freezes as it drops. Actually, we have tricked the sun with geometry, and we have tricked water with physics, because when the Egyptians built pyramids, they had to carry all the blocks of solid. Here we use liquid form and hydraulics to make it go 10 stories high, and then took away its latent heat mid-air to make it drop solid. So when you lift it, it's liquid. When you get it, it's solid. It's almost like 3D printing of a giant pyramid. Okay. So these look like something like those. It's a bit of architecture also here. These are water solutions, but it is also an architectural approach. We saw that the best shape was a giant cone, and with its rugged, rough surface, it looked much like weathered stupas in the skyline. So we said, we have this culture of stupas, so why do we call it a cone of ice or a pyramid of ice? Why not call it stupas or ice stupas? So today these solutions are called ice stupas. And stupas often have prayer flags. Yeah? You can see that. So we said, to interest and attract the villagers, we even put prayer flags on our ice stupa. And we were not completely lying when we said to the villagers, with the prayer flags, the ice will melt later and last longer. We were not completely lying, because there is partial shading from the prayer flags, and there is windbreak in warm spring winds. So it does last a little longer, but more than that, it was actually an act in branding and positioning to make it look like something they really respect and value, rather than a scientist's solution. Nobody cares an engineer's solution, but if it is from the culture, people love it. Yeah? So to call it a stupa and then to put prayer flags on the first ones was an act and innovation in branding and positioning, so that people own the concept. After this, we have seen many elderly ladies coming and bowing and prostrating, but that was not our purpose. This is a branding and positioning. Then we collaborated with often unlikely partners, like spiritual leaders, like school children, to promote it, to restore nature. Spiritual leaders are very important. They should be very concerned about climate change, because religious leaders always talk about ahimsa, peace. Today, the biggest himsa is happening with environmental, climate change and so on. Millions and millions will die every year. So it's much more serious than guns and daggers. Climate change will be the biggest killer. So we were very lucky to have a spiritual leader like His Holiness Chetsang Rinpoche, who is the Mountain Ambassador of United Nations, to support and promote these solutions. And therefore I say, please collaborate. Don't think you as an engineer, you as an architect have all the solutions. Collaborate with unlikely partners even, because your aim is to find solutions, not just charge your fees or make a building, design a building, but to make the place, the planet, a better place also. So these last longer. So the magic was that because of the geometric shape and so on, that one is in June and there is no ice anywhere, no snow anywhere. It's still nearly 2 stories tall in June. Yeah? And that's when people need water. And using new techniques like drip irrigation, which of course our ancestors didn't have, we experimented by afforesting a very dry patch of desert which has never seen any greenery ever. By using the melting water from this, 5,000 trees that were planted as an experiment were irrigated. Then villagers built much taller than anything we built. This one is half the height of Qutub Minar. And it stores 12 million liters of water. And the villagers did it, not us. So as it melts in spring, it adds to the water in the valley. And it has been going out into many parts of Ladakh, many parts of South Asia like northern Pakistan, in Nepal and in Switzerland, back kind of technology transfer reverse. It has been going into Chile in South America, Mongolia has shown interest, but there are some solutions still needed and we have been working on those because it's a very manual process. You have to go switch on the valves at night in cold and close the valves in the morning because in the sunny day it doesn't freeze. So it is painful. So now we are using digital automation. There is a video that I just launched 3 days ago on the story of digital automation in ice stupas. You can look up on my YouTube channel by my name or on Twitter and Insta and so on. But YouTube hosts the full video story. So you can use ice architecture to solve problems also, just like earth architecture. Anyway, these solutions got us the Rolex award, but we say, and the but is a big but. Yeah. The big but is that we are not proud of these. We are not proud of the awards. We are not proud of these ice stupas or solar heated houses. These are small fixes to a huge problem. Huge problem. Our solar heated buildings will not be able to change the fate of the Himalayas, nor these little ice cones. And that is to live simply. To live simply. And a few years ago, we started an appeal, an SOS message to the world to change their lifestyles. Because it is the lifestyle of people in big cities, billions of people, that is melting our glaciers. We cannot fix it with these solutions. It's good we try, but solution lies in your hand. So we say, please pledge to change your lifestyle. On 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, we launched the Live Simply movement. And our appeal was, please live simply in the big cities so that we in the mountains may simply live. Live simply so that we may simply live. Thank you. And this has been followed with many campaigns and movements which involved padyatras, which involved anshans, yeah, anshans in minus 25, weeks of hunger to protect the mountains and the glaciers of Ladakh. Anshans in heat of June when the temperatures on the ground is plus 60 or 70 from minus 25. So promoting lifestyle change like mission life and so on. But this is not the end.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Your agency towards the place you lived all your life and you were raised is commendable. We all hope to be as inspired and passionate about our places where we live and make them a better place with simple innovations like you have. I would like to invite questions.
Okay, so it's not something related to, like, it's not like a question about what you said. I just wanted to ask, how open are these hotels or these schools that you're collaborating with this idea? Like, how do you maybe convince them into doing this? Like, is it difficult for you, or is it like
Not very open. It takes long time. It takes long time for them to adopt a new way of doing. So homes have been very slow. Hotels little better. Military the best. Military is very quick to adopt. Yeah. But homes are slow because they look at what is the current fashion and all that. And they are okay to shiver inside a so-called beautiful house.
Any more questions?
Hello sir, I'm Kshitish Totla, and the question was, as you said, in the to commence heat, like greenhouse effects and all, like you build walls with mud and all, but what about the earthquake prone zone? Like Ladakh comes under an earthquake prone zone, so how does that manage? How is that managed?
You can take measures. You can take measures to make it earthquake resistant. Earthquakes don't kill. Badly designed buildings kill. Yeah. So you can make a well-designed house.
What about solar tent you make for the soldiers? So
Yeah.
more details regarding that.
Yes. So we made solar tent which is portable, but solar heated. And because we can't have solid walls to absorb the sun, we introduce water. Water can be filled where you pitch the tent and you drain when you move away. But then we learned from the army that soldiers actually don't like tents. Yeah? Only in extreme conditions where they have to go for just few days, they like tents. But as soon as possible, they want to live in more house-like places.
This is good for the tourism.
No, I'm talking about military tents. So therefore we switch to shelters that are solid and that are solar heated, which soldiers love to be in, while changing the tents to just patrolling gear. Patrolling means you go for few days and come back and go to normal houses. So nobody wants to live long in a tent. So we are switching to smaller tents that are possible to carry, are solar heated, but bigger ones should be more solid and not soft like tents. Yeah? Tourism also, at the most they like huts and cottages, which we are working on, more than tents, and also local earth architecture, hotels and resorts. That there is rising interest in, and our students and former students are designing and building many such tourist resorts and hotels in solar heated mud architecture. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Sir, were there any options explored for recharging underground aquifers?
No, not by us, but the ice stupas and artificial glaciers happen to be a reverse charging effect also. A side effect is that it freezes some water and it recharges some groundwater, but not specifically for recharging. Some say there is no need in these parts of the Himalayas. There is a current flowing underground. I feel there should be some recharging. There are possibilities, but we have not worked on them. Military houses burn so much oil, unlike local people's house. Military shelters, cost of the house, okay, as much as the cost of house is spent in 6 years to heat the house. You understand? So in 6 years, your house costs twice because of the heating cost. In 12 years, it will cost thrice. If it is 1 crore house, after 6 years, it will become 2 crore rupees house. After 12, 3 crores. After 18 years, it will be 4 crore rupees. Whereas a passive solar heated house of the same size will remain 1 crore forever because there is no heating cost. So, in other words, let me tell you this way. One general asked me when he visited my house in the school, we want to build our headquarters like this. How much will it cost? And I said, it will be free, sir. Free of cost. And he laughed. And I said, I'm serious, sir. And then I said, you just pay me the current heating bills of your building for 12 years and I'll build the house for free. Because it will take 6 years heating bills and the next 6 years will be mine. Because they'll be paying 10 lakh every year, which is what their oil bills are. So building is free after 6 years. So that's how nice it is. With local population, it could be 15 years. But with army, you understand, 6 years they have to pay the price of the whole house. And yeah, if you keep it solar, you only pay the bills and that's enough. You only pay, you don't need to pay anything except the heating oil bills. That's all.
Sir, I wish to know as an excuse me, as an educational reformer, how do you look at artificial intelligence? Is it intelligent assistance or is it otherwise? And second question is, you visited one of the best structures around, that is Ellora today. So what do you think, how did we in
Let's
between...
only take one question.
Yeah, sir, please. Thank you.
So AI, there is a big debate. It's good, it's bad, it's good, dangerous. I'm sure the same debate arose when prehistoric hunter-gatherers had invented fire. Bad, it's dangerous, it's good, it's wonderful, it's bad. I'm sure the same arose when they invented knives. So it's up to what you do with it and how you do with it. And I hope we don't become arsonists. That pessimists thought fire would be used for burning everything. Seems we haven't done that, so I hope we will not do that. In fact, we can do some very good things also. Sometimes I think it's better to outsource to artificial intelligence who we should choose as the leader of the nation. Because human intelligence is not good. Thank you. Because they'll not be biased. They'll actually take real data from every person, what that person's background, motivations, outcomes of the whole life is, and give you the best possible options of leaders.
Let's take one last question.
Sir, is it possible? Is it possible for you to apply integrated biotreatment that is eco-friendly in order to dispose of organic waste which is generated? Of course, sometimes the gobar may not be available. Ample of gobar may not be available. Dried gobar. It's better to use some eco-friendly microorganisms or the biotreatment, integrated biotreatment, including biosanitizer and group of microorganisms. It would be better to just transform this complex constituent to simplified form. We are applying this integrated biotreatment here, and we found that even dead animals get completely composted in a very rich compost, which is having a very pleasant smell. That is the earthy smell.
Of course, that has always been. When we have dogs dying, we bury it under an apricot tree, and that's what I want my body to go. Yeah? So
We are also
it
thinking
does
of the
become
thinking body,
fruits
dead
and birds and butterflies enjoy. So yeah, I mean, of course, integrated, holistic methods should be used rather than very specialized, one advantage alone methods that destroy a lot and help a little. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, everyone. I would like to invite Architect Piyush Kapadia sir to give a vote of thanks, and then we'll have national anthem followed by high tea. Thank you.
It's true privilege to stand before you and give vote of thanks to a remarkable individual, a visionary, whose work transcends disciples, inspires countless minds across the globe. Today we have here who embodies the essence of innovation, sustainability, courage, and who stands by his principle. Thank you, Sonam Banchuk sir, for everything. It was an incredible opportunity to meet you during our visit to Leh, and a simple encounter has turned up into an experience that has left a lasting impression on me. As architects, we often seek inspiration in structures, but what I witness is something far greater, an architectural philosophy deeply rooted in nature, community, and responsibility. It is really astonishing to see your work, from sustainable schools built in local materials to ice stupas that indigenously address the water scarcity in the region. Your contributions are far beyond the realm of architecture, and your passion for sustainable development and relentless fighter spirit for environment preservation is worth saluting. Thank you everybody for making this event a memorable one for all of us. Thank you Micrographics and Mr. Jain photographer and Mr. Aditya to make the video film of the introduction. Thank you
I
very
would
much.
just take a moment. Thank you so much, sir. I would just take a moment. So we want to have a formal felicitation ceremony. I'd like to invite IIA Chairman Chhatrapati Sambhaji Nagar, Architect Sham Shela sir, to felicitate Wangchuk sir.
I forgot to say that Mr. Piyush, is to blame if you found it very long and boring. He met me in Ladakh and he is to blame. Yeah.
Close.
If you only made a little bigger, it would be the same size. How am I going to take it? Thank you.
Thank you.
Students, it is for planting trees so that you are washed of the sins of my taking flight. Okay? Thank you. We'll plant trees in your
Thank you.